Evening, y'all. T Prepper here. Haven't done a video in a while, so I thought I'd do one. If you hear a generator or a loud, like small engine in the background, it's a generator. It's the one that I thought I couldn't fix, and I may have discovered the problem. So we'll see what happens. If it runs another hour or so, then it's fixed, which is a good thing. Having generators is never a bad thing. And if you don't know, this is for anybody who buys a generator. It will normally come with an oil can or an oil container with the exact amount of oil that it needs, but it's not marked on the container. They normally have like a clearish or whitish seam that you can see liquid. So before you fill up your generator, mark that container and keep it, and use it to refill your generator when you do oil changes. So the reason I messed with it was because I changed the oil finally on my older Westinghouse. I have a new one now. That one is full of oil too, but they're the same size motors, so I just used the new can from the new generator to fill up the old generator. But while I was at it, I'm like, well, maybe this is the problem, maybe it's not. So I checked the oil on the dipstick. It was on the dipstick, but it was not full. And surprisingly, it took almost a quarter quart of oil. So when you're only doing maybe a quarter quart low, is a problem. So hopefully the insides of the generator are not messed up, because you can burn up your rings and that creates compression problems and all kinds of other stuff. So we will see over time. So I've got conflicting financial requirements like normal. I'm really debating hard on spending $4,500 on silver. Everything I'm seeing right now, and it could just be them pumping up the market, which I would say that's what it is, except that if the YouTube channels that I've been listening to are telling the truth, the world is trading silver promises on paper at about 300 to 400 million ounces. Supposedly there's only 150 million ounces currently available. So that means there's going to be a shortage. So depending on who you listen to, junk silver or bullion silver is an easy way to get into the silver market, and then you got to be careful, because you really want the silver rounds, like the $1 rounds or the Canadian dollars, that are mostly 90% or better in silver. When you get into the $50, the nickel, and the quarter, and the dimes, I think the melt value is only 40%. So you're not going to get a lot of people who are going to want to pay you for the silver in those coins. On the flip side of that, let's say you have 125 silver rounds. When you go through customs, they can only charge you technically for $125 because it's legal tender, even though that's, even at current silver rates, that's a decent amount of money. That's close to $5,000 in silver. So a little over, actually, about 5,200 maybe, but regardless. However, during the current silver issues, a lot of bullion dealers are not accepting the constitutional or junk silver. So I checked on silver bars the other day, and they wanted $540 for a 10-ounce bar. So $4,500 will get you about 80 ounces of silver. So depending on who you talk to, who you listen to, you need to do your own research on this. A lot of conjecture that in early December, silver is going to go through the roof along with gold. So And I just listened to Survival Lily. She's doing an update on Europe. And apparently, Italy's in such financial woes that they're considering confiscating and taxing people on their individual gold, jewelry, and silver. So, you know, the way the system works is the system never wants you to get rich. When you become independent, whether it's financially wealthy and independent, or you don't need them for food, you're dangerous at that point because you don't need anything. So understand that there is risk involved in investing in precious metals. Now, I complained about that shop only wanting cash, wire transfer, or check. If you do cash, there is no financial transaction e-signature out there. That shop has cameras everywhere. So, you know, you're going to be on camera. I'm sure they're going to want some ID. So there'll be their record. As long as their record is not in a computer where it's hooked to the internet, then you can conceivably have a substantial amount of silver and no one know you got it. Just do your research on stuff, because back in the day, I think it was Nixon, when they took us off the gold standard, they outlawed your ability to have gold. They made it illegal. Now, they had to turn it in, and they paid you a premium for it, and then they turned around and doubled the value of gold. So that's an example of they never want you to get rich. So, still gonna beat the horse on backup power generation. You need that. If that generator is fixed, that's really a big bonus, because that generator is a 30 amp drop. The other two big ones are 50 amp drops. The 50 amp drops, they're capable of 30 and 50, but the bigger generators burn through more fuel quicker. I may still invest in another Champion generator, but right now, even with all that, I'm seriously looking at possibly taking out a loan for an older 2011 Class A motorhome. It's called a Coachman Murata 31DF. So it's got 2 slide outs. It's supposed to have automatic leveling jacks. It's on the bigger side, so it's going to be a major pain in the ass if it breaks down. But I still want to move. And given the current situation, even if we pay a moving company and they come in and they pack all this shit up and they take it all to Washington State or wherever the fuck I go, that's going to be 6 months to a year before me and my wife can get a house, because we're going to have to establish a work history, and we're going to have enough money for a down payment, substantial down payment, which we may or may not have right away. I'll have to go back to work probably if I can. We have dogs, big dogs, so staying with friends or family is not necessarily going to work. And my big baby boy is not friendly to most people. So my wife pointed out that we had another dog, my little girl dog, my little Jack Russell, that we said goodbye to in April. She didn't like anybody. She didn't like him. She hated my mother-in-law. I used to laugh about that. But he's kind of the same way. He doesn't really like people. He doesn't like other dogs. He's a great security dog. But, given that kind of dog and his size, our ability to stay with somebody to save money isn't going to work. So we need something big enough that we can live in and be relatively comfortable. This particular motorhome supposedly had 2 owners. It's at a good price. I think the guy just wants to get rid of it. He says he has the title. So this is just the first trip to look at it, take a look at it, and see what it looks like. And my wife is flying home to see her family. And then when she gets back, she will have a vote in this process. and she will get to go see it. And then after her and I talk after that trip, then I will go back and I will more than likely actually get the guy, record the guy showing me everything and how to do it, because I'm old and stupid and he would show me and I would forget. And then RVs, if you don't know, are money pits, but they do serve a purpose. So serve a purpose as in you get to, you know, have somewhere to live on wheels, so to speak. Have them demonstrate the leveling jacks, the water tanks, the toilets, the water, the shower, the kitchen, the slide outs, all the controls basically. I'll run the VIN number, make sure it hasn't been any wrecks. Make sure it is actually a 2-owner RV. It's got low miles, it's only got 30,000 miles. But it's got a V10 gas, so it's not going to get good gas mileage. It's going to get at or worse than what my 1-ton dually does. So the choice is get a travel trailer that I can put a motorcycle in the back of, or get this Class A motorhome style RV where we can actually live in it. Travel trailer with a toy hauler in the back would be nice, but that would mean that my 1-ton dually would have to be fully functional. Now, my 1-ton dually, I've been working on it basically since I got it. I think I have all the bugs worked out of it that I was dealing with, but there's one issue that has been an issue since I owned it, because it's set for so long. It would bleed or leak brake fluid out the left rear brake assembly, which normally means the wheel cylinder is bad. But when you replace those, you need to replace both sides. And then I don't know if the brakes have ever been replaced, so I'm putting it in to have that issue dealt with. And on top of that, it has an EGR system on it that doesn't work. My goal is to remove the pipes and plug the heads. So Monday I'm putting it in, dropping it off at the shop, and supposed to work on it Tuesday. And now Tuesday morning I'm taking my wife to the airport and she's going to fly home, and then I pick her up Saturday. So Tuesday's going to be an interesting day. And Wednesday right now is the day I'm going to look at the RV. So when you start looking at plans and decisions, you need to make sure you think about the ultimate destination and goal and the options that come with that decision. You know, I could buy this RV and me and my wife may never move. Right now I'm concerned that the economy is actually going to fucking collapse. This is just my opinion and conjecture. Next year, when they shut the government down again, and around January 30th for the same bullshit, they may not open it again. So that presents a problem for everyone, except the uber elites. So I hope you've been prepping. I would tell you, make sure you please enjoy Thanksgiving with whoever you're with. Christmas is around the corner. I've almost got all my shopping done. You know, it is what it is. So invest your money wisely. You know, I could lose my ass if I invest in the silver, or I could come out smelling like a rose. You know, 80 ounces, I've seen conjecture as high as $600 an ounce. That's a lot of cheese, a lot of cheddar. But then the bullion companies, are they going to have the money to buy the silver that people are going to want to sell? You know what I mean? So, I mean, 80 ounces at, if it goes to 600, there's going to be a premium, so you figure 550, so that's $40,000. So I make 1,000% profit or on each ounce of silver, or a little over, a little under, but you know what I'm saying. So, And that's only for people who have the discretionary funds to do it. If you don't have it, you need to concentrate on the basics: beans, bullets, band-aids, water, security, shelter. All right? Information is knowledge and power. Live a little, prep a lot, share the love. Chief Prepper, out.